Hi everyone, I'm Chris Hackala and welcome to Beyond My Knowing. In case you're new to the channel, I talk about my awakening in regards to my visions and dreams and the events that have happened in my life and since all this started. So sit down and enjoy, and we'll get started with August of 2025. And before we get started with anything, I just want to say we're in the Oregon Outback out on the Alvord Desert today. And this is a very sacred spot out here, so let's get going. August 2025, my Blue Avian incarnation or parallel life. During my incarnation as a Blue Avian, I was part of a council lineage. My specialty in this council was communication through sound and light. The sheen of my feathers shimmered in blue, violet, and white gold, and my eyes were a pale sapphire blue. I was a harmonic navigator. I would guide others through dimensional gates using sound, resonance, and geometry. In this lifetime, I was known as Shah Reth. When I saw the Blue Avian show up in my bedroom months back, I believe it was myself from that incarnation coming to raise my awareness of my abilities that I have access to in my soul. I believe that my specialty of communication through sound and light allowed me to see harmonics and tones as colors. My work during this lifetime was vast. We created portals to traverse the living grid of the universe, and travel was always done with ceremony. Some of the portals were open to create bridges to other star families like Lyrans and Arcturians. Some of the portals were even directed towards Gaia to seed her ley lines with tones of remembrance long before humanity was ever ready to find them. My next vision, Bookie Bookie. Last night, there was a woman holding a baby, and the father was standing next to her on her right side. I was standing directly across from them, looking down at the baby. Then the mother says, Bookie Bookie. When I heard this, I didn't know what it meant, but I saw exactly how to spell it. When I woke up, I searched online to see if this word even existed, and it does. Bookie, spelled Bhooki. Bookie means hungry in Hindu. When used twice in this way, it means very hungry or hungry hungry. After thinking about what these words mean, I look I took this as a message from my higher self, referring to my inner flame, urging me to change and move forward instead of stagnate. Also, last night, I found myself next to a stream. I was told, feel the water, be the water, and flow with the water. Then I was told, approach the sacred fire with joy and harmony. My next vision, Peanut Head. In my vision last night, I saw a male face that resembled the shape of a peanut. He had a high forehead, very tiny circular glasses that were dirty and smeared, some blondish thin hair, and a large chin. Then I found myself driving in a car on a city street, and it had tall buildings all around. As I was driving, a large black utility truck with side bins backed out in front of me. I had to swerve around it from hitting it. Then, another truck did the same thing, and I had to swerve around that one too. My next vision, blood red. I was given beads last night. The first bead was a blood red crystal color. It was round and spherical and about half the size of a chicken egg. Then I was given a handful of other beads. Their shape resembled a turtle shell, domed on top and flat on the bottom. These beads were mostly green with a little bit of white and brown. Once I received these beads, I saw that they were to be constructed in a necklace. The blood red bead would be at the bottom, and the turtle shell beads would be at the top, go around on both sides of my neck. The next night, I was shown another type of necklace. The bottom of the necklace had a piece of wood going across horizontally with 3 scallop shells on it, and they were attached at the bottom of this piece of wood. Then, above that piece of wood, with the scallop shells, were 2 more pieces of wood that went horizontal. My next event, Brigid and Merlin. I sat down to meditate with my intention to learn more about Brigid and Merlin's connection. The first thing to come in, I was told, pain medicine. Then I was shown a small wooden trough about 2 feet long and 8 inches wide, and it was filled with herbs. Then I was shown a spiral staircase going up to the ethers. As I looked up the staircase, I chuckled and asked if Merlin had done this. I was then shown a portal that was in the ground. The setting was in the middle of the forest, and I could see all of the elementals and fairies around it. This portal that I was shown started off round, and then it started to telescope into the ground a couple of feet. And as it did this, it morphed into the shape of an eye. As I was sitting in my meditation, at 2 different times, I had a jolt of energy hit the left side of my body and travel through to the right side. The energy was large enough to physically move my whole body. My next vision, pink skull. I saw a large pink crystal skull, possibly rose quartz. It had a square appearance with a square jaw and a natural defect on the right side of the lower jaw. My next vision, cylinder being. Last night, I saw a being in the middle of a field. He was tall, maybe 12 feet, and his body looked black and cylindrical. His abdomen was the largest, and then his legs, and the smallest diameter was his arms. He was carrying an object in his right hand about 2 to 3 feet long, maybe a wand. Each time he took a step, his whole leg lifted up. My next vision, and this happened on the same night, I saw a car in traffic. There was a man driving, and he had people in the car. He kept looking in his driver's side mirror behind him. Then he was making sure that no one was following him, which was interesting because in the multiple lanes of traffic, everyone was following everybody. I think this was a message from my higher self telling me not to look back, but to live in the present and move forward. My next vision, roller skates. I was in what seemed to be an art gallery or a museum. The ceilings were high, and there were horizontal wood slats on the walls. It had large separate rooms that were meeting places. Some rooms had 2 steps up or 2 steps down. There were also ramps for each of the rooms. Then I found myself on roller skates, and I do not roller skate. And I was creating a loop, and I was roller skating through the building, up and down the ramps, in and out of the rooms, and then outside, and then back into the building. I was creating a loop. I kept going faster and faster, cutting the corners, jumping the ramps, and just going faster and faster. I know this was a message from my higher self telling me that things will start moving much faster now. My next vision on the same night. I was at the ocean. I'd forgotten where I'd parked my car. It seemed like it was parked by the pier, but I couldn't remember. The next thing I see are these beautiful tall cliffs. They were at least 300 feet tall, with part of the bottom eroded back into the cliff. They were dark brown and black. It was overcast with no sunshine. At the base of the cliffs were large tide pools, and they looked deep. You could see fish and sharks swimming to the different tide pools. I was high up at a viewpoint looking down at the pools. Then I met 2 women. I don't know their names. One of them had dark brown hair. We had conversations, but I don't remember what was said. As we were walking away from the viewpoint of the tide pools, the sidewalk had quite a bit of sand on it and a little hill going down. As we were walking, I ran a little bit and slid on the sand on the sidewalk, and then grabbed a yellow fire hydrant with my left hand and circled around the fire hydrant twice because I was going so fast. My next vision, and this was the same night. I was driving in a car, and I'm not sure if this car was the one that I could find from the previous vision, or if this was a brand new vision. As I was driving, the window was rolled down, and there were ravens flying all around the car. 2 ravens tried to fly into the window, and I put my arm up to keep them from coming in. But 2 of them came in anyway. It seems that one of the ravens was hurt and flew in and landed on the passenger seat. And the other raven landed on my arm. He sat there and wanted me to help his friend. My next vision, tiny paw prints. I was in the back of a car with the hatch open, and there were other people inside with me. We were driving on a 2-lane highway, getting ready to go under a footbridge that went over the highway. I thought about hopping out at the footbridge and walking up from the highway, but I saw that the walkway was blocked. It had a metal honeycomb-shaped barrier on the path. It looked like some delinquents had cut through and mangled the barrier. So I decided to stay in the car and get out when we got off the highway. I arrived at a large parking lot with old 1900s buildings surrounding the perimeter. I am now realizing that I own a piece of the parking lot, and other people also owe parts of the parking lot. It was paved, but it had lots of tiny black rocks on the surface. I went for a walk and saw that there was a beautiful lake behind the buildings. It sat in a glacial valley with mountains coming down to its edge. I was standing where the lake bottlenecked and would drain out when it was more full. There were rounded river rocks lining the shore, and I was tasked with creating a finished edge at the bottleneck. I had created what looked like coping from a swimming pool deck, a large rounded edge that the water would flow over. After troweling the concrete and creating the finished edge, I left. Then I came back the next day, and the cat had left its signature. Cute, tiny little paw prints. That was the finishing touch. Wow, what a great episode. Stay tuned for the next one. It'll be out of this world as always. And as always shine your light and raise your frequency. And don't forget to hit that like button.